There we are. How's everybody doing? Well, right now, nobody's doing. So, there we go. There's some folks joining up. How you doing? My name's Matt. If you don't regularly follow me, this is the Twitter handle for my podcast, which is called the Amateur Theology Podcast, which you can find at amateurtheology.com, and be glad for you to check it out. Yeah, hey, that's not so good with the sun behind there, is it? Sorry. There we go. So anyway, like I said, I'm just hanging out. The kids are in their gymnastics class, and I have been thinking about sin and what a deconstructed theology of sin might look like. And hey, is that who's running the Sisters feed today? Oh, hi, Becky. Hi. Yeah, so I'm thinking about sin, and I'm thinking about talking about sin on the next episode. So I listened to, for any of you that listen to the Inglorious Pastors, which obviously I know Becky does, they did an episode a few weeks back where they talked about their journey to full inclusion full inclusion of the LGBT community into their faith and into their vision of church and Christianity. And part of what that was included on the Patreon a sermon, the sermon that Brad preached on what they refer to as that fateful Sunday morning, that they feel was the beginning of the end of their church. And it was the sermon where they informed the congregation that they were going to be a fully affirming and open and accepting church. And that took serious balls. That would take serious balls here in Central California, and I can't imagine the balls it took in Indiana. So hats off to those guys. But listening to Brad give that sermon, he started talking about sin and trying to answer the question, do they think being gay is a sin? And it just so much of what I'm going through is hinging on this concept of sin and salvation, and what's real and what's not, and what the truth is. You know, trying to find the truth in the midst of the baggage, I guess, of my conservative evangelical upbringing. And I have this whole part of me that hinges on, you know, an unregenerate soul goes to hell, and everyone is an unregenerate soul, and everyone's in need of salvation, and everybody sins, and, you know, it's hard to get away from that because, you know, that's kind of a defining thing about your life when you're a kid, and that's the environment that you find yourself in. And so, what do I do with that? Because I'm not sure that anybody really needs to get saved. I'm not sure that what that means even, because previously to this stage in my life, salvation seemed to have a pretty big correlation to heaven and hell, and wanting to be in one place and not in the other one. And if we reject the concept of eternal conscious torment and using that as a definition of hell, and we look to as to my understanding, a much more Jewish approach to the afterlife. There's not much there. You know, I've read some Jewish scholars that say, we just don't think about that too much because it's not important. And what's important is how you live while you're here. And the kingdom of God is at hand. And it's now. And we are it. Says the Christian. Says the follower of Christ. We are the kingdom. We are the second coming of Christ. We are it. And we need to be it in the world and not be waiting for some mystical reward on the other side of the grave. So anyway, I'm probably going to rehash a lot of this in the next episode, but I wanted to kind of put my thoughts down and anyway, so anybody want to say anything? Or, I don't know. What are you up to, Beck? Working hard or hardly working, as we say. Yes. Now, is the Twisted Sisters the type of production that writes their show notes first and then does the show, or does the show first and then writes the show notes? Bit behind. I try to write an outline of what I want to talk about and then flesh it out into show notes before I post. But sometimes I just post my outline because sometimes it's gonna be it. Yeah, you guys have the luxury of at least 2 of you and usually 3 of you, and I'm just sitting there all by myself in my dark living room in front of a microphone trying to string thoughts together. So I feel like I kind of need that outline a little bit. Oh man, it's hot. It's like almost 90 degrees and it's 6 o'clock. Yeah, well, of course, I understand that. You want to surprise each other with that. I imagine whoever's doing the Scienterd segment has to know what they're talking about before they get started. So, anyway, I think that I should probably go back inside and watch the kids for a bit. Thank you, Becky, for hanging out with me. And I believe... Yep. I believe that this video will stay posted on my Twitter. And if I can figure out how to download it, I will post it to Facebook and on my website also at amateurtheology.com, where you can go to listen to my first couple episodes and get the links to subscribe. And I missed that, Becky, about telling Shannon, but I assume that was tell her hi, and I will do that. She's working tonight, so I'll call her after the kids go to bed. But so that's going to be it for me for today, and I'd like to try to do this a little more often. So please, if you're watching this, obviously after it was live, I would appreciate any comments that you would like to make. And follow me on Twitter at amateurtheologue so you can know when we're going to do this again. So, all right. Have a good day. Have a good night. Time appropriate farewells. And talk to you guys later.